Hi, I'm Lori and I love books, and today I have part two and the conclusion of my Brambly Hedge series deep dive. First, there are two books by a new author who took what Jill Berkland did and came up with two sequel stories. And the author of these books is Alan MacDonald. And then this is Wilfred to the rescue. Well, Wilfred has to save another, I think it's a mole. A vole. Not a mole, a vole. They come to visit. There's like a little basket or that one of the voles gets into, and then he floats away. So Wilfred has to go to the rescue. It's cute, but just not as cute as the original stories. And then the illustrations are big and broad and not as elaborate as Jill Berkland's illustrations were. So they're not as magical. And then Primrose in charge is Primrose babysitting Poppy's babies. And Wilfred is there too. And the two of them help as much as they can when it comes to taking care of 3 baby mice. And again, cute, but just doesn't compare to the original series. There were also some additional toy books, and then this was a birthday book I got used. And it is with the illustrations of Jill Berkland. And I was kind of imagining it being big enough that you could put cards in, and maybe back then you could, but the book is much smaller than like most birthday cards would be nowadays. And then it came used, so there was already some writing in the book, but it's cute. I don't know how useful it would be, but if I had a complete collection of Brambly Hedge items, I would want that as part of it. There's 2 coloring books. The nature coloring book, which just takes the original artwork and you can color it into your heart's desire. And then there's some artwork that is more like a collage of the original illustrations. So a nice variety. And then the festive coloring book. And I think these would be kind of hard to color if you are a young child, but for an adult coloring book, these would be awesome. I don't plan on coloring in them. I don't plan on keeping this series because I kind of have too many books. I keep trying to figure out how my bookshelves are going to look, and I have way more books than 3 bookshelves can hold. The last 2 books of the Brambly Hedge series deep dive are the Jigsaw book, where it takes the illustrations and it turns them into little puzzles. And so there's like a little notch down here to pull the pieces off. This was Poppy's wedding to Dusty Dogwood. And then the Sea Story. And so each page has the illustration on one side and then a brief synopsis of the book on the other. And then this was Primrose getting lost and meeting 2 mice as she was trying to find her way home in Autumn's Story. So very adorable. I would think I would love doing that. But I would also want 2 copies. I'd want one to actually use and one to save. And then the last book is the pop-up book. When I got this, it did come a little damaged, which was sad. But also the pop-up is not what I traditionally think of as pop-up books. So there's the original artwork, But then the pop-ups are just these like 3D illustrations where there's like a background and then a middle ground and then a foreground. And it, to me, this is not what a pop-up is. Like a pop-up book should be like out here, not just flat. It is cute, but it was not what I was imagining when I ordered it, and I think I would be disappointed if I had gotten that as a gift, thinking I was going to get this huge pop-up book with maybe something interactive. Like there's no interactive pages where you can move the characters or move objects. There's no like things to lift up and look behind. So it's a good book, but it just wouldn't be a favorite of mine. And the very last thing is there was a show, The Enchanted World of Brambly Hedge. This DVD I got, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work. So I did have to watch the series here on YouTube. It has all 8 episodes. Each episode is about 20 minutes long, and it follows the stories written by Jill Berkland fairly well, with one exception. And they used stop motion animation, so it was like clay figures that were dressed, and practical effects like the water of the river that Wilfred and Mr. Apple float down in the Hill Story, or High Heels. I think it was High Heels. The snow in the Winter Story that they tunneled through looked like shaved ice. So it was very nice. There was also like a lot of added details, like the mice scratching their ears and then their like little noses wiggling. And so they definitely were artists doing art, which I love. It holds up very well, even though it's, I think, 30 years old. I think it was in the 90s. So the only like downside was Autumn Story. That was the only episode that I was disappointed in, because in the original, Primrose gets lost all on her own. In the show, Primrose is lost with Wilfred, and I think that takes away some of the drama, some of the anxiety, some of the fear and worry, and it makes it less intense, which maybe that's what they wanted for children. But I think it also takes away Primrose's sense of accomplishment, that she kept herself safe when there was no one else around. She was able to find her way to friendly neighbors, to find shelter when she needed it, to hide from scary things. Like she learned a lot of skills in the book, and when you're paired with somebody else in the show, like with Wilfred, it just, I think, takes away. But that was like the only slightly downside of the show. I loved it, watching it, and I loved going through this series. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. And I do have my next series picked out already, so hopefully I'll enjoy that as much as I enjoyed this. And until next time, have a lovely time reading. Bye!